Hey everyone, so this is just a quick update on the status of the RPG Hero Diner. As I mentioned previously, going forward for this particular series, these will really be just devlogs as to full-on tutorials because at this point it's really kind of unwieldy to try to have every episode be a tutorial. So I will certainly still show you some coding. We'll certainly do that, but it's going to be more the broad strokes rather than the, connecting the dots because at this point, like I said, it's a lot of rinse and repeat. You're using arrays, you're putting values into those arrays, you're checking those values versus, say, the name of an object or the tag of an object to determine if an object has been replicated or if it's been unlocked. Again, it's basically just arrays and values in those arrays. Anyways, so here we are in the kitchen where you're assembling the sandwiches. Now, up to this point, you saw a whole bunch of ingredients here. That's because I was testing and making the system work. But when the game first starts, you really shouldn't have all those. It should be very simple. We don't want to overwhelm people. And again, there should be a progression. If you have all the ingredients from the beginning, there's really no progression. And this also helps you work as a tutorial. Okay, so in the first day, or actually, I think I'll probably break it up into weeks, but we'll see. You're only going to have these three ingredients, and there'll be a slight tutorial that just says, make your first sandwich, click on this, click on this, click on this. So you'll probably have like an arrow that moves up as you click on the objects. And then the sandwich will appear down here, and then you name it and add it to the menu. And then you start the day, and then you'll probably get just newbies. Okay, so whether they even have weapons, I don't know, but you'll basically have newbies, kind of just like in an RPG, people who are level 1. And then after the first day or first week, you return here again, and then you'll have some ingredients unlocked. That's what I want to focus on, at least at first. I'm going to show you how that works. And then what will happen is with each progressive week, more and more ingredients will be unlocked. I toyed with the idea of letting you buy and order new ingredients, but I think that really goes too far into the business sim part because basically we've combined two different types of games. There's the sim games where the restaurant is really just the context, but the content is managing the business as a whole. And then you have the opposite, where it's about the food prep, and then you don't really manage the business. We've combined those into one where you both manage the business and do the food prep. And I think that having you to deal like with vendors to select ingredients, I think that goes too far into the business management aspect. But if you have thoughts about that, just let me know in the comments section, and I certainly can consider doing that. But for now, what's going to happen is with each progressive, whether it's day or week, more ingredients will show up automatically, and then that will let you make more complicated or more varied meals. So at the beginning, you'll only have these three. And again, it's not to be oversimplified so much as that the first day is meant to be like a tutorial. Okay, so how do we do this? Well, basically you need to do two things. For each object, for these ingredients, and they're here, and again, the naming is based on the value of when we're checking the order versus the ingredient, because each ingredient is stored in a different position. The one's position, 10 position, 100 position, so on and so forth. So basically, you need to do two things. You need to disable the sprite renderer and disable the box collider. So as you can see, for the hamburger bun, which you can see, the sprite renderer is disabled and is enabled, and the box collider 2D is enabled. So for the other ones, they'd be disabled. So what I did is I only disabled the sprite. So like this one, you can't see it, but technically you could click on it. So we'd want to uncheck that. Same for that one. You can't see it, but you could click on it. So make sure you're actually unchecking your colliders, or else even though people can't see it, they can still interact with it. Okay, so what happens then is that in our game flow script, as I mentioned, this is what controls the overall flow of the game. We simply need more variables. We need a variable, again, static, since we want this to not be altered or reset during gameplay. Anytime it's altered, we have to overtly alter it. And it's going to be week number. So which week number are you in? This will effectively be used as an index number. So like I said, whenever you use an array, you need to say which position you're in. That's what this is going to be used for. Sort of, you'll see in a second. This time, so first time equals yes or Y. This I haven't used yet. This is going to determine that if you've just started the game, do you need the tutorial? But I haven't actually made the tutorial yet. I decided that I needed to put the changes in place for the ingredients before adding the tutorial. And then here is the new array. So like I said, this is predicated upon arrays. Public static string, food unlocked, and then again, these are the different values for the different ingredients. The first one is blank because with the first week, we've already unlocked all the ingredients. So we're not going to make any change there. And then with the second week, this unlocks, let's see, that's bacon, that's cheese, that's ketchup. And again, you could just reference over here. So the reason why I'm doing this is I'm going to take this value and I'm going to compare it to the name of the object, and I'm going to say if they match, then go ahead and enable the image and enable the collider. So with each passing week, you'll have access to more and more of these. So pretty straightforward. So here's menu create. Menu create is the script that is attached to these objects. So if you click on each one of these food objects here, you'll see that they have the menu create script. And so with the menu create script, it, let's see. So for the sprite, okay, the sprite is that image. So like cheese, bacon, okay. So what we're going to do is this script is attached to those objects. In the start section, we're going to do something that you've seen before. We're going to do a for loop. We're going to check the values in here to the names of the objects. And if the name of the object is in here, then go ahead and enable the object, enable the sprite renderer, and enable the box collider, the 2D box collider. So for int rep equals 0, semicolon rep less than game flow week number, remember that's what determines what week we're in, semicolon rep plus equals 1. So this is saying that this is going to be an integer. And again, since you're using this as an index to determine what position in the array you're in, it has to be an integer. Because you're saying, is it position 0, is it position 1, is it position 2, is it position 3? Okay. So for int rep, have it start at 0. And if rep is less than week number, then go ahead and increment this by 1 and do this again. So if GameObject.name is equal to GameFlow.FoodUnlockedRep, again, as I said, it's this compared to this. So if they match, then getComponent sprite renderer enabled equals true, getComponent box collider 2D enabled equals true. So there you go. You have taken the you've taken the values from the array, compared it to the names of the object the script is attached to, and if you have a match, then you'll unlock them. Now, technically, what's happening is as the game progresses, you're not adding more values to this. When you finish coding the game, all the values will be here. What you're doing is you're saying what's the upper limit. How many of these positions do you change? So this isn't going to be increased throughout the game. These will already be here. We're just saying what's the upper limit, because again, we're saying start at 0 and go to that upper limit. And so again, I like the idea of not having to manually check every single object. So by using a for loop like this, by using this approach, you can just cycle through them. So if I have 100 of these, and therefore 100 values here, I don't need to add one single line of code to this. It scales. That's what I talk about when I say it scales. I do not have to rewrite this no matter how many of these I have. I have to obviously add those ingredients, and then I have to add that value here in the proper place. But the actual code that determines does this get unlocked does not need a single additional line of code. So that's what you want to see. You want to see that kind of scalability. Okay, so that was the first thing that I've been working on, was unlocking those, and then once that's all in place, then we can work on the tutorial. Actually, let me just prove that this works. So we already ran it once, and you could see it was just the 2 buns and the hamburger. So now if we change this to say 4, it would increase one at a time more than likely, unless you want to unlock multiple ingredients, then maybe you would increase it by 2 or 3. And now those have all been unlocked because now we're checking further through the array to look for matches. I could have done 3, could have done 2, could have done 1. Don't want to waste your time, so I just want to show you that yes, as you increase the upper limit, you will indeed get more matches and more of the ingredients will be unlocked. Okay, so that's that. Now let's go ahead and go over to let's go to here, and you'll notice a few changes. So first of all, I purchased some additional assets. As you can see, there's now a hot dog bun, hot dog. Um, some of these were already included, but now we have ketchup and mustard. We can actually have frying pans now rather than cooking them directly on the grill. Although if this was rather than having individual burners, if this was like a full-size grill like you have at a sub shop like a D'Angelo's or something like that, don't have an asset that looks like that, so we're just going to put pans on top of it. The bucket is because we have added French fries. So just as you have to cook the hamburger and cook the bacon, you also will now need to cook the French fries. So they'll go in there. I haven't put that functionality in place yet, and you will be able to do hamburgers and hot dogs now. So that means I purchased some additional assets. So here's Hot Dog Constructor. I mentioned this before by Keeperfank. So I had purchased the hamburger constructor, and I went back and forth as to whether or not I'd buy the mega constructor that had all of them together. I realized that probably no need to do that. If I was going to do that, that would have been the first thing that I purchased, but I was able to get some of the other assets that I needed, such as French fries, so I didn't really need that constructor. So, but yeah, I mainly did it so we get the ketchup dispenser, mustard dispenser, as well as hot dogs and the hot dog bun. So now we have a wider range um, of objects that can be cooked. So let's see. I think that's almost it. We'll run this right now. I have it set so the assassins are unlocked. So you can see some of the assets that I'm working with. You can see they're all dual wielders. As far as I'm concerned, assassins should be dual wielders because that's the whole idea, is that they're damage dealers. And the appearance is not totally consistent, but not too bad either. I'd say that the other warrior girl who eventually shows up, I think she looks a little bit more cartoonish, but they're from 3 different suppliers, 3 different publishers, and there's a fourth one, Lootbox, as I mentioned, that I was hoping to use some from them, but the animations just don't work. And I'm not going to retread that. I just don't understand it because I can make all these other animations work. So I'm not quite sure what's going on with that publisher's assets. Okay, so that is the update. So as a summary, we're unlocking the ingredients rather than just having them all at once, and the unlocks will be based on how far into the game you are. Some model additions as far as frying pans in the bucket, some new food ingredients added, hot dog roll, mushrooms. We also have the ketchup and mustard. So that's just these, even though they're not in a pan, the functionality will be the same. That when you click on these, the corresponding object will be instantiated. So, like a squiggle mustard would be instantiated, a squiggle of ketchup would be instantiated. So, I think that's about it, and I'll let you guys know how this is going. And please do enjoy the rest of your day.